Hey guys, Martin here from Mattress Clarity. So I deal with sleep apnea, and for many years, I didn't even know I had this condition. So if you're like me, you might have sleep apnea and you don't even know it. But I want to talk about what sleep apnea is, the signs you have sleep apnea, the different types of sleep apnea. Yes, there is more than one type, and also treatment options. It's a lot of information to go through, but it's so important to understand how serious this condition can be. But I want to start by talking about the specific definition of sleep apnea. So sleep apnea is while you're sleeping, you're stopping, you're starting breathing, or you're breathing shallowly. Now, a lot of times when you stop breathing, your body will wake you up to get you breathing again. And when that happens, you're waking up just a little bit, but you might not even know it. So that's like, for me, I didn't know I had sleep apnea for many years. But right now, as according to the National Sleep Foundation, 18 million Americans struggle with sleep apnea every year. But there are a couple different types. And the first one is obstructive sleep apnea. Now, obstructive sleep apnea is when you're sleeping, the back throat muscles collapse, and when that happens, you stop breathing. Again, you're waking up, you're gasping, you're choking in your sleep. But there are three different levels of severity, and the bottom level is going to be mild obstructive sleep apnea. This is going to be between 5 and 15 wake-ups per hour, so you're waking up while you're sleeping. Now, moderate is going to be between 15 and 30 wake-ups per hour, and then over 30 is going to be severe. And to give you a sense of what mine is like, when I went to get tested, I found out I was waking up 47 times per hour. So I have great sleep apnea. I'm really good at the sleep apnea game. So that's what I'm dealing with. But you have mild, moderate, and severe. Now, the other types are going to be central sleep apnea. Now, central sleep apnea is actually between your brain and your breathing muscles. So there's kind of a disconnect there. And then complex sleep apnea syndrome is going to be a mix of central sleep apnea and obstructive sleep apnea. Now, I will just note though, I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. This is supposed to be for informational purposes only. So if at any time in this video you think like this might be applying to you, that you have sleep apnea, see a doctor, see a medical professional. But now I want to talk about the signs that you might have sleep apnea. So what are the signs that you might have sleep apnea? Well, first off, there's loud snoring. So that's not a sign for sure you have sleep apnea, but many people who have sleep apnea are going to snore. Now, also, you could choke in your sleep, gasp for air in your sleep, or just stop breathing during the night. Now, the thing is, if you sleep alone, you might not know that you're dealing with these issues. For instance, I didn't know I had sleep apnea. I went camping with my brother one time, and he's like, "You sound like you're dying when you're sleeping." And I think that's a pretty clear sign that I had sleep apnea. I'm glad I went and got tested. But there's also some tests you can do at home to see if you're dealing with sleep apnea. So waking up in the morning, if you have a dry mouth, migraine or headache, you're irritable, you have trouble sleeping at night, you have trouble staying awake during the day, or you have trouble focusing at work or at school. So these are some signs that you might be dealing with sleep apnea. So what are the causes of sleep apnea, and what increases your chances of having sleep apnea? Well, first off, there's weight. If you're overweight, if you're an obese person, you have a greater chance of developing sleep apnea. That's because fat deposits, especially near the upper airway, make it more difficult to breathe. There's also people with wider necks and narrower airways, so it could be a genetic issue. Someone in your family struggles with sleep apnea, you have a great chance of struggling with that as well. There's also gender. So if you are a man, you are 2 to 3 times more likely to have sleep apnea. Also, as you get older, your chances of having sleep apnea increase greatly. Now, those are things you really can't control, but there are some things you can control. For instance, drinking alcohol, that can relax the back of your throat, cause you to have sleep apnea. Also, it could be because of smoking, that can cause inflammation in your throat and also fluid retention. And then finally, nasal congestion and allergies. So if you have sleep apnea, what's happening is you're being robbed of healthy sleep. You're waking up many times an hour. For instance, me, 47 times an hour. So I'm not getting sleep throughout the night if I'm not using my CPAP machine, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Now, when you have sleep apnea, because of that, there are some other negative health outcomes. For instance, daytime fatigue. Now, this can be dangerous. So if you're at work, you're working on a computer, you fall asleep, that's not a problem. However, if you use heavy machinery at work or you're driving to and from work, you can fall asleep at the wheel and get in an accident. And there have been studies that have shown people with sleep apnea are more likely to get in a car accident. Now, there's also situations with heart disease, heart failure, heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and then last but not least, disrupting your partner while they're trying to sleep. So They may not snore, but you're snoring, you're choking your sleep, you're making it more difficult for them to get good sleep as well. So bad for your relationship, bad for your household. So in case you didn't notice by now, sleep apnea is super nasty, but there are treatment options. Now, the most popular treatment option is a CPAP, and that stands for continuous positive airway pressure. I use a CPAP machine, which you can see right here. I'll open this up in a little bit to show you exactly what's inside. There's also oral appliances. You can get this through a dentist. They fit the appliance to your mouth, and what it does, it actually keeps your jaw forward like this, keeps your throat open, the air flowing through. Then lastly, there are surgical options for certain types of sleep apnea. So what can you expect if you do seek treatment for sleep apnea? Well, I'm just gonna tell you my personal story with sleep apnea. So going back a couple years, I was exhausted all the time. I was irritable. I was sleeping like 12 hours a night, taking naps every single day. But I was sleeping, but not really sleeping because I was waking up many times each hour. Now, I started working at Mattress Clarity and I was writing articles about sleep apnea increases your chances of high cholesterol. Sleep apnea increases your chances of heart attack, connected to all these horrible health outcomes. And again, I had heard from my brother that I choked when I sleep. I would stop breathing during the night. And so I said, you know what? It's time to seek treatment. So I go to my general practitioner and I'm talking to him and I give him kind of my symptoms. He says, all right, I'm gonna send you to a sleep doctor. So I go to the sleep doctor and I talk to him and give him my symptoms. He says, all right, time for a sleep test. Now, an overnight sleep test is pretty weird. You show up about 8 o'clock at night. It's like this hotel room with a bed, but computers everywhere and cameras in the corner. So it's very, very strange. But I sat down and they hooked up these nodes all over my body, on my chest, in my beard. That was super strange. And they got me hooked up, they put me to sleep and turned the lights off. So reading a comic book, trying to fall asleep. It took a while, but I finally did. And then a couple hours after I fell asleep, the sleep tech comes in and says, you're not breathing, you're stopping breathing while you're sleeping. So here's a CPAP machine. They had one for me to try out. And then I put that on, fell back asleep, woke up the next day, went to work. So a couple weeks later, I go to the sleep doctor. They talk about my results and they say, all right, as I said before, 5 to 15 is mild sleep apnea, 15 to 30 wake-ups can be moderate sleep apnea, over 30 is severe. And as I said, I was waking up 47 times an hour. But with the CPAP machine, I was only waking up 3 times an hour. So it was helping me significantly. So they said, you have sleep apnea, you have severe sleep apnea, and they prescribed a CPAP machine. So I went to the medical supplier, got my CPAP machine and took it home. And I want to talk about now though, exactly what's in this bag, how it works, and what it's like to actually use a CPAP machine. So let's take a look at my CPAP machine. I have the ResMed AirSense 10. So let's open it up and see what's inside. First off, you have the main unit. So this is the actual CPAP machine. This is going to create that pressure. Inside here is going to be, it's almost like a hot plate. And what that is for your water chamber. Now it has metal on the bottom as well. When this goes in there, you can control the amount of humidity you're getting in your air. So without this, it'd just be kind of dry air. So the air actually goes through the water chamber and then up to your face. Now I put this down here and then I have couple more pieces. This is the AC unit. It's all jumbled up right now, but that's fine. So this goes in your wall socket, and then this is going to hook in the back of the appliance. And then you have your air hose, and this is going to hook in the back of the machine here. So air is going to pass through here, up to here. And just a note on the actual machine though, older models of CPAPs can be pretty loud and actually disturb your partner. This is completely quiet. I can't hear it at all when it's on, so definitely keep that in mind. But then you have your mask part. This is going to hook in here and has magnetic pieces here on the end. It's going to clip on my face. Some masks are going to cover your nose and your mouth. Mine only covers my nose. And one more thing to look at on the side here, this is going to be an air filter. So you're going to have extra air filters, basically going to keep dust and dirt from going into the machine. But that's how it's set up. But I want to show you what it looks like when I put it on and when I'm trying to sleep with the CPAP machine. based on this information, if you think you might have sleep apnea, do see a doctor right away or seek professional medical help. If you want more information about sleep apnea, do check out our written article. But that's about it. We do a lot of videos just like this at Mattress Clarity, so hit the like button and subscribe.